Hi, I'm Kai Holland. I'd like to give you a brief summary of the workshop that we held this past week on Hillside Wildfire Awareness and encourage you to also plan on coming to our Hillside Wildfire Awareness event on May 6th, Saturday from 11 to 3. That'll be at the Hilltop Ski Area, where you'll find out more information about all of the topics that we covered online, as well as get a chance to see some of the fire response vehicles, meet some of the teams from the different agencies that respond to wildfires, and learn more about what you can do to be prepared this season as we come into the next wildfire season and work with your neighbors. So the event that we had this past week was one that we've done for a couple years now to provide a opportunity for people to learn about what they can do to be more prepared in the case of a wildfire, including the Ready, Set, Go program, where to get information and notifications in case you're concerned about something that might be going on and whether or not it's going to affect you, and also what you can do to improve the resilience of your own neighborhood and your homes in the case of a potential fire. The information we went over covered, to begin with, the Ready, Set, Go program that's now used as a way to communicate with residents throughout Alaska about the status of potential hazardous conditions. The Ready status is a pretty generic status that you ought to be assuming we're moving into just by virtue of moving into the beginning of the wildfire season. It's only going to be another short week or two before much of the snow around our neighborhoods has melted off, and we're going to now have a area that's going to have a lot of dry grass. And this turns out to be one of the more dangerous parts of our wildfire season early in the year, when we have a lot of dry grass left over from last year, not much in the way of new leaves and grasses greening up that will help reduce the fire danger later. The set status is what you might hear if we end up having a really high hazard day and there's a fire that has begun and now initially gotten out of control. And there is now monitoring on whether or not that fire is going to be contained or spread into other areas. And the difference between when you might hear that we're in a set status versus when we're in a go could be very short, and it might even be non-existent. Things could happen so rapidly in that case. So we encourage people to be getting ready now. That means starting to think about what you can do to prepare your home to be more resilient, to have a go bag prepared in terms of key items that you might need to take very quickly. Thinking about also where you might want to meet up if your kids and others in your family are in different areas, or where your pets are at, or maybe you've got large animals that you might need to take care of. Now's the time to be getting ready to make those plans so that if we have to move into that set stage, you've got a plan, you know what to do to actually get set and ready to move if there was to be a go type of warning or an evacuation. Again, keeping in mind that there could be very little time. It could be just minutes between being notified the winds have shifted and that a new area is in a set status, and when all of a sudden we realize that there are embers flying and maybe we need to get people going right away. And in fact, you may want to think about your plans to actually be leaving an area ahead of when you may get told that you need to just simply go to friends or family in another part of town to stay out of the way, because with our small, tight streets, things will get very congested, and it'll be helpful for folks that just simply proactively maybe move out of the area during a high hazard event that's going on. A lot of good information is available, including the Alaska Fire Info website, where you can find out more information about current fires and other fires that have happened. We learned also about the Anchorage Emergency Management's new programs for communications, as well as evacuation and procedures that they would use during the event of a major incident. But in particular, I wanted to point out that they're now using the RAVE system for providing notifications. You can go to the OEM website and sign up to receive this by email and text message. This is the primary tool that the municipality is now using to inform residents about critical situations and what you might need to do. The other thing that I really like that they've now introduced is on their website, they have this emergency status blog that they're running now. And this is such a helpful resource because in the case of many of the emergencies we have, like the earthquake or the MLK fire, the situations change very quickly, and trying to figure out where to go to get timely, authoritative information and to sort out what's a good rumor versus what in fact is important information you need. This new blog is going to be a great resource for you to be able to go and check to find out what's going on, who's got control of the situation, and maybe of the many different channels that you could potentially go to check, which one is now the one that has the current best feed that you might want to be using as your way of staying up to date with what's happening. So then we went into the Firewise home inspection program and how you can do the inspection yourself. But we began with an important discussion about understanding how fires ignite houses. A lot of times people think that a house is going to burn in the case of a wildfire because the fire front came into your property and enveloped your house. In fact, that's not the way most houses are damaged in the case of wildfires. In fact, it's the embers that are thrown off by a fire that could travel up to a mile away that land on a house that maybe has cedar shake roofs, or maybe has gutters that haven't been cleaned out, that has a lot of dry debris in there. Or maybe those embers land in a stack of firewood that you have up against the side of your house from this past winter and finds great kindling to get started with. You have to think like an ember to understand how to use the Firewise program to create a resilient area around your home that will be tolerant of a fire coming through the area. To do that, the program identifies that area that's immediately around your home, those first 3 to 5 feet where embers might hit the house, might be landing. You want to make sure that that zone is free of anything that's combustible. Firewood needs to be moved away. That's what I'm doing this next weekend, is getting it out of the way now, even though there's still snow around. And I'm looking for my gas cans, and I'm looking for other lumber and woodworking projects, getting all that stuff away from the perimeter of the house. And then I'm checking to see what's in that 3 or 5 to 30-foot radius, and understanding that that area needs to have a low combustibility. That ought to be a nice lawn and maybe some bushes, shrubs, but I'm trying to keep that area relatively free of trees that might become a torch that could then cause a fire to ladder over to the house or drop a bunch of embers on it. And then that area out from 30 to 100 feet is your shaded fuel break. That's the area that provides that buffer that slows down, quiets down a fire if it were to come into your area, makes it easy for a fire department to come in if they have to respond, to be able to quiet the fire down around your home and be able to ensure that there's a minimum of damage, if any, to your home. Good example here of looking at what you might want to see when you go and look around your house, or these beds around this house with a little bit of decorative vegetation, but clearly an area here that if you get embers in this area, you're not going to have a fire that can get a hold here. On the other hand, take a look at this picture of somebody that's got some wood stacked up underneath their wood stairs. Just imagine what's going to happen when some embers potentially land in this. We're going to find some great dry kindling, are going to find a wood ladder for that fire to then move up into the structure. Self-assessments are something you can do, and I strongly encourage you to go and look up on the AFD website the self-assessment forms. It's easy to do. It walks you through the basic perimeters, things to watch out for, what to do. But you can also call up the Anchorage Fire Department, and you can ask them to come out and do an inspection with you, and they will conduct an assessment and give you a report that you can use as a further guide, particularly if you have some questions about some of the trees and the landscaping that may not be real clear on what you might do there to make your home defendable. And one thing I have to offer that is super helpful for AFD and any fire response, but actually any emergency response, including paramedics, is this is a great time to also check and make sure that your house number is clearly visible from the street. The biggest issue that the fire department and the paramedics can run into is not being able to clearly identify which driveway, which house is the one that they're trying to respond to. Do yourself a favor and help all of us by making sure that your driveway has been cleared, it's got adequate width for these big rigs like a paramedic, but also that you've got a number that's clearly visible that'll help make sure that when you call for help, that they can find you without any delay. Finally, we spent a little bit of time with Stephen Stengel at Chugach Electric talking about their work that they do every year to keep the right-of-ways along their power lines clear. But also they have a program where they can come through if there are problem trees that are outside of their right-of-way, but are large, potentially beetle-killed trees that might fall on their lines. They have a program where they can drop those trees for you and get them down on the ground so they're safely. Now, they can't cut them up and do the rest of the removal, but they can get them down so that they're no longer a danger to anybody or a danger to your power lines. They also talked a little bit about the generators and the programs that they have to assist you with generators in case you want to have a backup power option. But you need to be real careful about understanding how to do that properly so that there are transfer switches in place that avoid the danger of you providing power to your house, but accidentally putting power back into the grid that might affect other homes or other people that are trying to repair the power lines. So wrapping up, we've done this program a few years as a way to encourage the community to develop its own capacity to be more ready to respond to potential emergencies, whether it's a wildfire, an earthquake, a power outage, or you're just out of sugar. And we encourage you to follow up on this program by getting together with your neighbors, organizing a phone tree, especially if you're in an area like mine that has a bunch of homes in an isolated area where we have one road in, one road out. We really need to be prepared to help one another out in the case of an earthquake or if there's a wildfire, and being able to call and help out and coordinate, making sure people are getting out if they need to, or assistance in getting gas shut off. And we encourage you to learn more about all these programs, again, by looking both at our website, where we have all the resources that we've been talking about here and much more, at the Neighborhood Resilience website on the FCC area for the Rabbit Creek Community Council. And of course, come to the event on May 6th, Saturday from 11 till 3, and we'll have a chance to talk more about emergency preparedness. You'll be able to see rigs from the JBEAR wildfire response program, the Division of Forestry's wildfire response, the Anchorage Fire Department, OEM. We're also going to have some great information on the egress study that was done by Dr. Jen Schmidt. And we'll have Spruce Moose there, the mascot from DNR, if you have kids who want to meet Spruce Moose. And we'll have some light refreshments there. And then Finn's Restaurant will also be open. So should be a great day. We'll probably have a program around 12:30 where the folks that are there will have a chance to speak a little bit about the programs, but come anytime during that 11 to 3 time to learn more, get information, and have your questions answered. Thanks for listening to this. I hope we'll see you on Saturday, May 6th at Hilltop Ski Area.